G'day guys, and welcome to the Centre Bounce, where today we'll be talking about the Brisbane Lions beating Dimmer Hardwick and the Gold Coast Suns. Stay tuned. Mate, Big J, it was a practice match that we knew that was happening, 6 periods, but we're only going to talk about the first 4 because that was where all the AFL players played. And that is where we think that the most relevant, I suppose, considerations to these players were to take place. And at the end of the 4 periods, the 4 quarters, it was Brisbane with 102 defeating Gold Coast 55.
Yeah, it's a bit of a crazy one. I guess similar to a North Melbourne, I think it was, where they played 7, but no, it wasn't North Melbourne. There was one earlier that we did a video on, and it was basically they played 7 games, like 7 quarters, but they only had 4 being the actual team. That's what we saw today, right? And unfortunately for Dimmer Hardwick, I think maybe he should have gone back to Richmond, won another premiership, because then he could come back with some more experience, because he has a lot of work to do with this team. Like, all the preseason hype about talking about, hey, this is what we've got to do. This is all our players. Everyone's doing good. At points, you could definitely see like some of the things they were trying to do, but it just didn't work out. And obviously, Brisbane, they played a grand final, so they're out for blood, Joe. That's all I'm going to say. There's no
Exactly.
like hyping it up. There's no like, oh, whatever. They want to win. That's it. Fagan's on a
100%.
mission.
Mate, they were very close. They were less than a kick away from winning the flag, and there's one or two ways really that you feel that a team can go. Either they really capitulate and just really have a really bad year the next year, or they use it as fuel to really come out and breathe fire. And I feel like that's sort of what we're seeing from the Brisbane Lions. They didn't have everybody out there today, but the way they just comprehensively defeated the Gold Coast Suns, who they were really up and about, and a lot of discussion about this young team in under the hands of a Dimmer Hardwick, who's obviously been a dynasty coach. Where can they go? How high can they reach? But it really was obviously the final scorecard. The final scorecard, which includes the last 2 periods, has them losing by only 1 point. But when it mattered, where it mattered in the first 4, it was a comprehensive demolition. And Brisbane missed some really gettable shots to really put the margin out even further. And in terms of Supercoach, there really aren't too many relevant players from these games, but this is obviously more so just a general discussion about these 2 teams. You can clearly see that they're at 2 different developmental stages. One is well and truly up into their eyeballs wanting to win a flag. The other one is still going through some discovery.
Yeah, and I think, as you say, there's not many players, but there's definitely a few players that all pre-season we've had like thoughts on and our eyes on. A couple who've kind of shown themselves, but definitely with a new coach coming in, there's definitely kind of question marks and things like that. Hopefully, we can see the same things over the next 2 pre-season games, or one more and then round 0. But at least in today's game, we saw some questions answered. Is this guy going to do this? Did Dimmer Hardwick really tell this guy he's going to be this next player, blah, blah, blah? We saw some of that. And that's what we're going to talk about.
Exactly. But before we talk about Dimmer Hardwick and his Gold Coast Suns, we're going to talk about the Brisbane Lions, who were the winners of this game. Stay tuned.
Fagan's Suns.
The Fagan Suns. Oh, I like that one. And we're going to start with probably the most interesting one, the most Supercoach relevant one, because this guy, a lot of people have been asking us about him over the course of this preseason. Every stream.
Where's Markadine Coleman? Why is he not in your team? Why do you hate him, Big J? Joe, don't you think he looks good when he plays? What's happening? Like, mate. One of the things we've been talking about him basically all of preseason is we know his stats when Rich wasn't in the team last year, but there was some really good form towards the end of the season. The majority of the game today, we saw that again. There were periods of the time where Gold Coast came in and shut him down, but there were times as well where he just got let loose and taking a lot of kickouts, running the ball off halfback, doing what we know he can do. more just about consistency. And unfortunately, in the fourth quarter, Kitty Coleman came off. So maybe there's some injury worries or just being managed or whatever. I have to watch over the next couple of days to see what's up.
Yeah, as of this recording, not entirely sure exactly what's come of Kitty Coleman. Definitely was sort of limping and coming off the field with a bit of discomfort there. But when he was playing, he was obviously just capitalizing on the free space that the opposition were giving him. And that's sort of been my biggest criticism, I suppose, not of him as a player, but of the selection in general. And what I was talking about very early in the preseason, that opposition teams are going to be happy for him to do what he's doing. But if it starts to get damaging, they're going to put effort, they're going to put time and effort into it. They're not going to let him have the time and space to just willy-nilly receive these easy disposals and cut teams to shreds. And it's at times we saw that when he started to get really bad, Gold Coast Suns were sort of just a bit more aware, not hard tagging him, but just simply a bit more aware about where he is, and all of a sudden his output substantially reduced. And I know we've spoken about it in the past. Yes, he played all of last season, but before that point, he's been injury riddled with soft tissue concerns. And just because someone might have had 1 year where they didn't have injury concerns doesn't mean that it won't
Or like
resurface.
6 weeks. 6 weeks, not even like a year. Like
Correct.
a whole period of time. Yeah.
Yeah.
Watch
Kitty
and see
Coleman,
him over the next games.
correct. Watch and see. Someone who did, I think, really well, and we can't also forget that there was no Connor McKenna tonight. There was no Connor McKenna, and that's someone who would be eating into his scoring as well, because they'd be using him as a distributor as well. Then also Darcy Wilmot would have also not gotten as many opportunities playing at halfback as opposed to on a wing, which he really played last year. But without McKenna, he was used a lot more off halfback, and we saw a lot more from him, and he even took some kick-ins.
Yeah. DR loves the Pepsi King. Darcy Wilmot, we know what he can do. We know George's Discord loves my Darcy Wilson comments from a couple of years ago. Why did we not pick him? Why is he so good? Blah, blah, blah. We know the kid can play. So that's not a big issue. It's just about role. And I think a lot of Brisbane team, as we go through the stuff, is all just about role. They're very, very good, which means that they share the ball a lot. But it also means that there's set players that will score a lot in Supercoach and set players that won't. Darcy Wilmot's probably on the north.
Yep, agreed. Darcy Garner's an interesting one because he is a 187k defender, but he wasn't playing in defence. He was playing on forward.
Yeah, he's someone I flagged in our intra-club review a couple of days ago, or maybe not in the intra-club review, but definitely in my team preview for Brisbane. McStay's gone. Gunston's gone. They need this tall player who can mark. Moving from the defense, he's going to play forward. He looks good, Joe. And for 187k, he's tempting. We can get him at DPP, like at round 6 or round 7, depending on when I think DPP is round 7 now. He could definitely do very, very well for us in Supercoach. Only problem is he's competing with a few of the guys that we've spoken about in other videos and who we'll speak about soon as kind of being that overpriced defender. But I reckon he could kick a few goals every game, whatever they need. I don't know if he's in your considerations, but I just like seeing him on field and scoring goals. So it's good enough reason for me to pick him.
He'll have a lot of opportunities to score goals playing for this Brisbane Lions side, which is a really strong flag fancy. And their ball movement was really sharp, and he could get a lot of supply because this guy Josh Dunkley was well and truly entrenched in the centre bounces, entrenched in the midfield. Just did classic Josh Dunkley things. He shaved his head, which was a little bit surprising. I didn't quite like his new haircut. I think he cut a bit too much off. He's a very handsome man. Just leave a bit on top, bro. There's no need to go that hardcore. But Josh Dunkley gave us Josh Dunkley things. I can totally see this guy being a top 8 mid, top 8 to 10 mid. I think very comfortably he can do that. But the early buy is an absolute killer. Yeah.
And the problem with the early buy, we keep harping on early buy, early buy. In some respects, it's good because there's only 2 teams doing it, and it's Carlton and Brisbane. But in other respects, like everyone else that week is going to have like their full complement of premiums, and you're not. So you're banking on another rookie to actually score what Josh Dunkley would be comparable to, and it's just not going to happen.
Yeah. And there's almost no point starting them at that point, because they'll play round 0, round 1, and then round 2 is a buy, and the price doesn't go up. So you can always get them the following week if they are popping off and they're going crazy. You can always just get them in round 3. Zach the Rat Bailey, DR loves him as well. I love him as well. I think he's amazing, and the reason why I've got him in here is because he started to really get involved higher up the ground. He wasn't playing as a forward for periods of the game. He was attending centre bounces, especially in the third quarter. He was absolutely racking it up, and they were using his agility really well. Change of direction, and he's a beautiful kick as well to deliver the ball. He hit up Garden a number of times on the lead, and even Eric Hipwood as well. So Zach Bailey, if he can continue to play a lot more on the ball, of course, I don't think that role is going to persist when they've got Lockie Neal, and when obviously Ashcroft comes back from his ACL as well, then probably makes it a bit harder for him to maintain that midfield minutes. But for the time that he's got midfield time, will be really impressive to see. So probably not Supercoach relevant. As you can tell, Brisbane aren't a very Supercoach relevant team, which is why there's not too many players here. But I really like Zach Bailey's game.
Yeah, they're definitely experimenting without Ashcroft being in the team. And Zach Bailey has that hints of going to play midfield, dominating there, that run and carry through there. Just pace in general is what you want. So this kid's going to be on a big contract, Joe.
Yeah. Speaking of midfield, this guy saw a lot of it tonight. He really, really saw a lot of it tonight.
Tempting.
So tempting at this price.
If this was last year, if this was 2023, when mid prices we just picked all of them, Jared Ryan's getting my team, but there was glimpses of it. I think they were saying on the telecast that every finals game he was the sub, and I think now he won't be. Like there's a need for him in that position, and I think he offers a little bit more in the midfield. Maybe he doesn't play all year. Maybe he's just there to help cement, like until Ashcroft comes back. But he could play a few early games. It's just that early buy is just murdering us, Joe.
And also, I don't think that role persists when Neal and Ashcroft are both in the side. Now, Ashcroft won't be back, I think, till middle of the year, I don't think. So I guess you could say, someone might be able to make the argument that, hey, we can hold on to this guy for half of the year and then trade him out. And at that point, I might be like, yeah, you might have a point there. But I don't think that the midfield, if he was forward eligible, I'd be like, yeah, sure, go for it. But I just don't think the midfield is the place for a mid-pricer.
Yeah, I think so.
We then move to the forward line. Charlie Cameron's in here, not because for you to pick him, but because the guy absolutely tore Gold Coast Suns apart by himself. Country Roads was belting out all over the field, and I was singing it as well. So congratulations to you, Charlie Cameron. Definitely more interested in this guy, Cam Rayner, who was playing on the ball.
That's it. It's a bit of a tricky one because Cam Rayner's always been there. I flagged him in my Brisbane video as someone who, looks to be moving positions and someone who looks to be kind of on the mark. Same draft year as LDU, as Chera, as Sam Walsh, as Brayshaw and Sarong. So you know what level of competitiveness his body should be at. It was just that he was injured a lot during his early years. So he's ready to go. He's ready to hit his peak and become that player. And I think Brisbane slowly start to know that. He did play a little bit of mid last year, but it was more, hey, can you get your tank at that position? If Cam Rayner can do that, it's tempting. I'm not there, but it's tempting. If we get no one else, potentially. But
correct.
Not at the moment, yeah.
Correct. If we get no one else. And that is a very awkward price point at $385K. Look, I'm not going to go there now. Absolutely not. And I most likely won't. So, but still, always open to be convinced otherwise. I don't want people saying I'm hating on Brisbane. I don't feel any particular way against Brisbane. It is what it is, guys. Let me know in the comments down below if I am being too harsh. But hey, I raised him now. Big J's raised him before. What else can we do? All right. With that, we'll then move on to our next team, the Gold Coast Suns. Stay tuned.
We've spoken about Brisbane and the lack of players who are eligible in Supercoach, who that we want to put into our sides. It's the tale of two teams because we look at Gold Coast and there were so many questions that we've got and just ideas of chuck these guys in our teams. Let's check out who did well in the game today. Joe, you've been on him all year. Let's start in the forward line because I'm leaving Connor Buderick right at the end. I don't want you to talk about no Connor Buderick business. Sam Flanders. Dimmer came in. He was just like, Sam Flanders. I said it all preseason. Everyone keeps asking me, hey, Big J, how do you know Sam Flanders is going to keep his role? Why do you think he's going to score well? Blah, blah, blah. Sam Flanders, CBAs, doing just monster stuff, Joe. I'm happy. I'm glad this guy's in my team and I didn't get rid of him.
Yeah, 100%. There was a bunch of people asking whether or not they can fade this guy or not. And we'll be like, no, don't fade him. He's going to be really high. What are you doing? Don't be stupid. Don't do that. And then he just continued to pop off. And I was hoping, Dimmer, please just bench him. Stop showing people. But it is what it is. Yeah, Flanders, he's a lock. Get him in your teams if you want to have a chance. If you don't, then good luck. This guy, though, stay very far away from Bailey Humphrey. His new tattoo is disgusting. His haircut is almost as disgusting. And his game was really bad today. I wasn't a big fan of Bailey Humphrey.
Didn't get many touches either. I think it was on like 7 at the end of the game.
Correct. And a few clangers and frees against. So, yeah. Flanders great. Humphrey not great. We've got one here. Alex Sexton.
Playing off halfback. We told everyone halfback, Sexton, halfback, alongside someone else who's taking kick-ins that we'll talk about at the end. But yeah, 133K. This year definitely seems to be the year of the overpriced rookie who are playing positions that aren't, their Supercoach positions. So Sexton, lock him into your team. The best thing about him is, yes, early buy, but he's only a rookie. So you're only missing out a rookie score on him. So you can have him and Flanders in your forward line as long as there's not like a GW, potentially Cadman in there as well if he's on the bench.
No.
But as long as there's not more premiums from that team, you're going to be okay. Chuck him in your team. You don't want to miss out on halfback scores, man. Like halfback scores. Like if he starts popping out 90s and you don't have him in your team, you're in a bit of trouble.
I was about to say rookie price, but it's not going to give you rookie scoring, that's for sure. And he's going to get DPP. And I know Tom Powell wasn't in the game, but I don't think it's going to kill him. Will Powell. Yeah, I don't think it's going to kill him. I think it's going to affect Euland more than anybody, who might lose his spot in the side. But Sexton was great, taking kick-ins. He was running and bouncing off half-back, literally taking bounces in dewy conditions and then pumping the ball long, some great intercept marks. Sexton was a ton of sex. I liked Jared Witts as a ruckman. I thought he did really well. Obviously early buy, but his hit out to advantage work was classic Witsy. It looks like he's really rearing to go. And he was even getting involved around the ground. He was taking some marks, some tackles as well. I thought Witsy had a great game, to be honest, and really made me interested to go and have a look at his price point. And then I realized, damn, that's a lot more money than Grundy. So I thought, you know what? No, thanks.
Yeah, definitely. Maybe in your draft, maybe in like if you're doing some weird thing where you can't pick any other players except for Gold Coast players, chuck them in your team, but just not Supercoach relevant. Similar to, I think, Ethan Reed as well. What can you say, Joe?
They were calling him a unicorn. They were calling him the unicorn because he is a big boy, very tall, but he's quite mobile And I liked him. He took some nice marks around the ground, some beautiful kicking action, very smooth. Did not kick the ball like a ruckman. I liked him, and I think Dimmer Hardwick should like him too. This guy
R3.
could be R3. He really could. So keep an eye on Ethan Reed. I think this guy's a fair shot for R3. If we're gonna have a playing ruckman, it could be this guy. He looks good.
What you want. We're desperate for that R3 position. So
yeah, exactly.
A little bit overpriced, more than a sweep, but he plays.
But less than a Conway, which is good.
Conway.
This guy is not less than a Conway. He is everything Conway wishes and dreams, but will never attain. I love Tuke Miller's game. He was great.
Yeah, there's always question marks about Tuke Miller, similar with Rowell and Anderson. We've spoke about it in our Gold Coast preview, just kind of everything that's been happening. Where do they all play alongside of Flanders? Tuke Miller, I don't want to say get him in your team, Joe, because the early buy just hurts. I'm so sad, but post-buy, Tuke Miller, if he's cheap, he's a shout.
He's a shout. He's a real big shout. He got the first clearance of the game. He was definitely these three with the main trio, absolutely, with Flanders as the fourth. This was definitely the preferred midfield rotation, these four players. And of the three, I think Tuke Miller was probably the best of the three. Rowell was in and under, of course, doing classic Rowell things. Anderson got the ball a few times, but I think he was a bit wasteful with his disposal. Definitely think Tuke Miller was the best of the three, and even managed to sink a massive bomb goal, a goal against the wind, which was insane. So I like Tuke Miller. If you're looking for a cheaper steal, like a genuine steal, Tuke Miller, I think I think the value is enough to warrant picking him as a starting selection, even with the early buy at 545k. This guy who's capable of going 120 plus and has done it 2 years in a row before last year's injury season. Man, I'm thinking about it. I am thinking about it. I want to see some more, obviously, but he's well and truly on my radar.
Get him in. I'll let you talk about Connor Buderick now. Like, just inform us. Connor Buderick, Joe's happy. Do I have to put him back into my team, Joe? What's going on?
It's the Buddha. It's the Buddha. You guys, I had him in my early January team.
Me too.
Because I had a feeling that this guy is going to be playing that Jaden Short halfback role. He's got the traits to do it. He demands the ball. He's a decent ball user, and everything that I hope to see, I saw. Literally, kick-ins, demanding the ball, pushing high up the ground, intercepts, everything you can possibly want from a halfback player who's a pig. You got it from Connor Buderick, and it feels so good to have that vindication, to have that justification. Obviously, got the vindication with the Cam Guthrie selection. Cam Guthrie was a selection that I was very against. This guy also I was very for. So it's been a very good day for me, Big J. So Connor Buderick, I'm loving seeing.
It's all coming up, Joe.
So I'm looking forward to seeing everyone scrambling to try and get this guy in their side. I know people are going to say Powell wasn't there. Don't you worry about it. This guy, he just demanded the football. They were giving it to him. He was taking kick-ins. Everything that you wanted to see from him. Get this guy in, ladies and gentlemen. Get him in. That's all I have to say.
Yeah, I mean, we heard about the Jaden Short talk and everything there, so why not? Bodie Uwand, I think, as Joe mentioned at the start, he's going to lose his role when other people come in, so maybe not as Supercoach relevant, but played an okay game.
He did. He played an all right game. But without a doubt, this guy.
2, yep, 3.
And this guy.
Locks.
Yeah, chuck them in. Fat locks, ladies and gentlemen. Fat locks. As is our channel. Hopefully that you guys consider us a fat lock for your viewing. We would greatly appreciate if you do consider us that you would hit the subscribe button, a like on this video, as well as hitting the notification bell to make sure you don't miss out on any of the videos that we are pumping out.
Mate, talk about segues. I mean, this guy should open a shop because he's the Segway king. Guys, if you haven't already, jump in our Supercoach League. You guys can win some amazing prizes. We've got 3 things up for grabs, and it's all free. Same with our tipping competition as well. We've just started that up. Link will be down in the description.
Yeah, come on, guys, head on over, join us, have some fun. Obviously, some banter as well on our Monday night live streams where we obviously answer all your questions, can review teams as well, go over the games of the weekend, and as well go over the results of the tipping. So make sure you join us and really engage with us on either on this platform, in the competitions, as well as on our Facebook, which you can obviously see at the top at the center bounce. We are obviously pushing for that Facebook growth as well. So please head on over, guys, and join us there.
100%. We've got a lot of content coming out over the next couple of weeks before the season starts, helping you guys kind of decipher all the news, all the position changes, everything that's happening in the AFL. Because remember, here at the Centre Bounce, we do the hard work, so you don't have to. Bye for now.